In the village of Durumu, nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, lived a notorious moneylender named Malakai. Known for his wealth and ruthlessness, Malakai takes advantage of the desperation of the villagers, lending money at very high interest rates. Those unable to repay faced losing their land, livestock, or even their homes. Malakai's closest partner was King Marek, a corrupt ruler who turned a blind eye to Malakai's misdeeds in exchange for a share of the profits. Together, they controlled the village with fear and oppression, leaving the people powerless and extremely poor. Despite their hardships, the villagers whispered of hope in the form of a kind-hearted monk named Cato, who traveled from village to village sharing wisdom and offering guidance. Cato was said to have a unique gift for delivering profound truths through stories that resonated deeply with those who heard them. One fateful day, as Malakai traveled to a neighboring town to collect debts, his carriage wheel broke near a roadside. Furious, he demanded his servants fix it immediately, but their efforts failed. As the sun was rising, Malakai decided to wait under the shade of a tree. Under the shade, he noticed a serene figure sitting on the ground, a man in simple robes, meditating. Curious, Malakai approached him and struck up a conversation. "Who are you, stranger?" Malakai asked, eyeing the man's plain appearance. "I am Cato, a humble monk," the man replied with a warm smile. "And you, sir?" Malakai, ever prideful, boasted about his wealth and power, even sharing his methods for amassing his fortune. "I am a moneylender. I give people what they need at a price. If they can't repay, I take what they value most. It's fair business." Cato listened attentively, nodding as Malakai spoke. Then, he leaned forward and said, "May I tell you a story, Malakai? Once, there was a master craftsman who made the most beautiful and expensive wooden flutes," Cato began. This story, however, was no ordinary tale. Under the tree, others began to gather around, drawn by the monk's calm voice. Among them was Asha, a young widow who had lost her farm to Malakai, and Zero, a once wealthy merchant who had been ruined by Malakai's schemes. The craftsman's flutes were so beautiful that people traveled from far and wide to purchase them. One day, a cunning merchant approached the craftsman and offered to buy his entire stock, promising riches beyond imagination. The craftsman, tempted by wealth, agreed. But the merchant had no intention of paying fairly. He tricked the craftsman into selling the flutes for far less than they were worth, then resold them to unsuspecting buyers for a fortune. The craftsman, now penniless, could no longer make flutes, and the merchant's deceit was eventually discovered. As Cato concluded, he fixed his gaze on Malakai. "You are like that merchant, Malakai. You take advantage of others' desperation, offering false hope while robbing them of their most valuable possessions. But mark my words, your greed will be your undoing. The villagers may fear you now, but fear is a fragile shield. One day, it will shatter." The room fell silent. Asha stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Do you see, Malakai? You took everything from me. My farm, my family's legacy. All for your greed." Zero joined her. "You left me with nothing but shame. How much longer can you live with the pain you cause?" Malakai, for the first time, felt the weight of his actions. He looked around, seeing not enemies but broken lives. Cato placed a hand on Malakai's shoulder. "It is not too late to change. Return what you have taken. Work to rebuild what you have destroyed. Only then will you find true peace." Malakai wrestled with his pride and guilt, but Cato's words haunted him. Over the next few weeks, he began to reflect deeply. With Cato's guidance, Malakai made the bold decision to change. He returned the lands, livestock, and possessions he had taken, beginning with Asha's farm and Zero's shop. It wasn't easy. King Marek, furious at losing his share of the profits, threatened Malakai. But Malakai stood firm. "I will no longer be your pawn, Marek. I have caused enough harm." The villagers, initially skeptical, gradually warmed to Malakai's efforts. He worked alongside them, rebuilding homes and tilling fields. His ornate clothing was replaced with simple garments, and his once proud demeanor softened. As for King Marek, the villagers, emboldened by Malakai's transformation, rose up against him. With Cato's wisdom guiding them, they exposed his corruption to the neighboring kingdom, forcing him to realign. Malakai, once the most feared man in Durumu, became one of its most respected. Under his new leadership, the village flourished, and he found a sense of peace he had never known.